In this case, check it out, for example. How important is for you communication and miscommunication? What do you think?
Well, for me, communication is the best one, because if you don't are able, or if you don't be able to communicate correctly, the
Mm-hmm.
message will change in another way of seeing. I mean, the people misunderstanding the real reason of the message, the original message,
Mm-hmm.
and they can do two things will be happen. One is the people do another thing different that you expected, or
Mm-hmm.
they create another image that the idea that you wanted to share, or you wanted to ask, or you wanted to only just informative. So if it does happen, maybe it provokes problem. I think in general, inside the families, inside the company, if you won't be able to communicate correctly, or you don't be able to communicate correctly, there provokes a lot of trouble. Maybe you miss to reach objectives, and so on.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it's truth. I mean, you could trigger or provoke misunderstandings. I mean, sometimes when you cannot decode the message, uh, we we take the risk, uh-huh, in this case, of getting down, and in this case, for example, delay the situations. I mean, when we're
Yeah.
talking about professional tasks and different kind of projects. Let's check it out. Mini studies. In this case, this one was conducted by an special psychologist, which one provides us with the possibility to focus our attention on what is the real problem when we refer to communication and miscommunication. May I?
Yes.
Have you ever talked with a friend about a problem, only to realize that he just doesn't seem to grasp why the issue is so important to you? Have you ever presented an idea to a group and it's met with utter confusion? Or maybe you've been in an argument when the other person suddenly accuses you of not listening to what they're saying at all. What's going on here? The answer is miscommunication.
I'm so sorry. I mean, in this case, for example, uh, in this case, we should um, not include them subtitles. Mhm. Uh, all right. One more time. So sorry.
Have you ever talked with a friend about a problem, only to realize that he just doesn't seem to grasp why the issue is so important to you? Have you ever presented an idea to a group and it's met with utter confusion? Or maybe you've been in an argument when the other person suddenly accuses you of not listening to what they're saying at all. What's going on here? The answer is miscommunication. And in some form or another, we've all experienced it. It can lead to confusion, animosity, misunderstanding, or even crashing a multi-million-dollar probe into the surface of Mars. The fact is, even when face-to-face with another person, in the very same room and speaking the same language, human communication is incredibly complex. But the good news is that a basic understanding of what happens when we communicate can help us prevent miscommunication. For decades, researchers have asked what happens when we communicate. One interpretation, called the transmission model, views communication as a message that moves directly from one person to another, similar to someone tossing a ball and walking away. But in reality, this simplistic model doesn't account for communication's complexity. Enter the transactional model, which acknowledges the many added challenges of communicating. With this model, it's more accurate to think of communication between people as a game of catch. As we communicate our message, we receive feedback from the other party. Through the transaction, we create meaning together. But from this exchange, further complications arise. It's not like the Star Trek universe, where some characters can Vulcan mind meld, fully sharing thoughts and feelings. As humans, we can't help but send and receive messages through our own subjective lenses. When communicating, one person expresses her interpretation of a message, and the person she's communicating with hears his own interpretation of that message. Our perceptual filters continually shift meanings and interpretations. Remember that game of catch? Imagine it with a lump of clay. As each person touches it, they shape it to fit their own unique perceptions based on any number of variables, like knowledge or past experience, age, race, gender, ethnicity, religion, or family background. Simultaneously, every person interprets the message they receive based on their relationship with the other person and their unique understanding of the semantics and connotations of the exact words being used. They could also be distracted by other stimuli, such as traffic or a growling stomach. Even emotion might cloud their understanding. And by adding more people into a conversation, each with their own subjectivities, the complexity of communication grows exponentially. So as the lump of clay goes back and forth from one person to another, reworked, reshaped, and always changing, it's no wonder our messages sometimes turn into a mush of miscommunication. But luckily, there are some simple practices that can help us all navigate our daily interactions for better communication. 1. Recognize that passive hearing and active listening are not the same. Engage actively with the verbal and nonverbal feedback of others and adjust your message to facilitate greater understanding. 2. Listen with your eyes and ears, as well as with your gut. Remember that communication is more than just words. 3. Take time to understand as you try to be understood. In the rush to express ourselves, it's easy to forget that communication is a two-way street. Be open to what the other person might say. And finally, 4. Be aware of your personal perceptual filters. Elements of your experience, including your culture, community, and family, influence how you see the world. Say, "This is how I see the problem, but how do you see it?" Don't assume that your perception is the objective truth. That'll help you work towards sharing a dialogue with others to reach a common understanding together.
All right. What do you think? Do you catch any model of this one? What is the most suitable in order to avoid miscommunication?
Well, first of all, the feedback, to ask for feedback in order to assure or to make sure that the another people is understand the same what you wanted to communicate. As the example says, if you don't confirm that the people understand the same that you wanted to say or you are saying, they is completely difficult to understand. On the other hand, as they say, there are a lot of factors that influences in the way that you make an interpretation of the messages. As they say, age, gender, experience, knowledge, and so on. So you have to try to be in the same wavelength due to feedback in order to try to understand, to repeat the message, to try to understand, to, as they say, it's only to talk. You have to see the another people. You have to hear correctly what is the message. We have to understand the environment, the situation, the context, in order to provide or to make sure that your message are catching as you try to as the best way, no? In the best way that you're trying to communicate.
All right, excellent, excellent. In this case, recap related to that idea. Let's, for example, rescue some, in this case, phrases, keywords, phrasal verbs that, for example, we reviewed and try to, for example, check it out the meaning. For example, could you read out?
I'm looking for a job. Please drop me a line if you heard of any good opportunities.
Okay. What is, in this case, drop somebody a line?
You say to contact the person.
Exactly. Basically on the phone or email. When you say, hey, drop me a line. In this case, in Mexico, we have in this case, colloquial phrase that is when you contact a person, right? Drop me a line. Exactly. I like that phrase. Or for example, number 2, could you?
I need to get a hold of Tina to tell her that tomorrow's class is canceled.
Exactly. To get a hold of someone. What is, in this case, to get a hold of someone?
It's a means to communicate with them, usually by phone.
Exactly. To communicate or let a person knows something, well, a kind of news in this regard related to something transcendental or really important. To get a hold of someone, to let a person know, basically. All right. Okay. Number 3. Could you?
Keep me posted on your plan for this weekend. Maybe we can meet up. Meet up.
Exactly. What is to keep me posted? To keep somebody posted, sorry.
The law means to update the person, inform the person of the most current information. In contrast, if someone has not been kept informed, they can say, I'm out of the loop. So I'm the loop, meaning they don't know the most recent information.
Exactly. When you keep someone in the loop or when you keep someone posted, you inform basically the most updated situation around. I mean, in this case, basically supervisors, bosses, even teachers. Okay, keep me posted. Any, contingency, any situation, please let me know or keep me posted or keep me in the loop. Oh, okay. Any kind of situation or issue, I will keep you in the loop or keep you posted. All right. Okay. For example, could you?
Yes, I heard through the grapevine that
Uh-huh.
Dan and his wife split up. It is true. So yes, it means that you hear the news indirectly through a friend of a friend, for example, not directly from one of the people involved. News that you heard through the grapevine may be true or it may be untrue.
Exactly. To hear something through the grapevine, in this case, when you hear the news indirectly, it's kind of rumor, kind of um, even a gossip that gets around, and you, in this case, have contact with in this regard. All right. Okay. Okay. In this regard, for example,
Uh,
could you?
Stop, stop beating around the bush and just tell me what happened to the camera island you. If someone is beating around the bush, it means that they are trying to avoid answering a question or talking directly about a particular issue. Instead, they tell stories or talk about details that are not exactly the most important part. Yes, around
Exactly.
you around the bush, not to avoid to confront the situation.
Exactly. The person normally tends to uh, uh, dox out. I mean, the topic and try to, in this put aside certain details. Yeah, of course. All right, all right. In this case, number 6, could you?
I like having meetings with Nate because they're so short. He always gets right to the point. To get
Okay,
right to the point or get straight to the point is the opposite of beating around the bush. It means to talk about an issue directly without wasting time discussing unrelated or unimportant details. Okay?
exactly. It's the opposite. Get right to the point is not beating around the bush. In this case, quite the contrary. You, in this case, get down the business immediately. I mean, get straight to the point. And in this regard, is I suppose the most suitable thing when you are a professional or you want um, avoid any kind of misinterpretation. Could you?
Okay. The two politicians were talking at cross purposes during the debate. One
Debate.
argued strongly for immigration control, whereas the other was entirely focused on the educational system.
What is the correct
So,
pronunciation for that word?
whereas,
No, like a colloquial one. Whereas,
whereas,
let's say a blondie people. Whereas, Exactly. And what is the correct for this one?
What?
This one?
Debate?
Debate, exactly. Whereas and debate, exactly. Very good. We are in this case reaching to the peak when we're talking about political times and when the polls are really crazy. I mean, opposition, official one, I don't know. Everybody has a different kind of opinion related to the um, percentages or figures. But the point is, for example, that a debate is really important in order to, reach certain kind of conclusions. Check it out. Talking at cross purposes. What is?
Talking across purposes describes when two people not only have different or positive perspectives, but are actually talking about two completely different issues or with completely different goals or philosophies. This means that they cannot even debate each other directly because each one is focused on a different point.
Exactly. All right. Talking at cross purposes. In this case, um, when they don't agree to each other related to a kind of um, a specific kind of subject, or even defer each other. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Could you?
Sorry, we must gotten our wires crossed. I wanted you to come at 7 p.m., not 7 a.m.
In this case, what is in this case to get someone's wires crossed?
It means they have a mistake in communication that leads to a misunderstanding. Yeah, it's in Spanish there exists this phrase.
Exactly. I got our wires crossed. I mean, it's when you are um, when your mind went blank and you committed a tremendous mistake. All right. The previous line, the in this case, the penultimate. Will you read out?
I haven't actually talked to my sister yet. We're playing phone stuck all day.
All right. Well, so you mean playing phone tag. Wow, play phone tag actually.
This describes that situation when two people telephone each other various times during the day, but can talk directly because if time one person calls, the other person is not available.
Mm-hmm.
Then when the other person calls back, the first person is not available, and this
Mm-hmm.
situation repeats several times.
Let's see my
Try to
playing
explain.
phone tag is
Yeah, I remember. Yes,
it's pretty cool, right?
yes,
It happens to us all the time. I mean, when you are looking for a
yes,
person, the
yes.
person is not in, and vice versa. And you, for example, you're playing phone tag. I mean, like that. All right. The last one, but not the least one, could you?
At Paris, I always end up saying something stupid and putting my foot in my mouth.
Uh-huh. What is to put somebody's foot in somebody's mouth?
It's when you accidentally say something stupid, offensive, or embarrassing. Any type of comment that you wish you hadn't said, or then you feel ashamed or embarrassed.
Exactly. When the person is immature, tends to put in this his or her foot in his or her mount. I mean, oh wow, the person said to something that is embarrassing, disgusting, thought, and not
Yeah.
not not cool. I mean,
Yes, I
right?
remember once I understand, well, more than 20 years ago, I understand why the director of my don't invite all the employees, for example, to have a meeting with new employees or when we know customer or supplier, because once we are eating with American people,
Oh,
the manager of financial are inviting accounting, no, accounting, junior accounting. No? We
mm-hmm.
are we are eating, and they ask to American people, "Why are you discriminated people?"
So straight to the
Wow.
point. And come on,
Yeah,
give me a
yeah,
break.
yeah, yeah,
The-
oh,
the-
yes, oh, yes, all the
give me a break. Oh, what a
yes,
shame.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, no, this was a very sad situation.
no, one of the most, in this case, embarrassing moments of their lives, I suppose. Wow. What can I say? What do you think? Is it difficult?
No, some of them there are similar meanings in Spanish.
Even
There are similar meanings in Spanish. You say in different context. Well, the context is the same, but the way you express many, you can change some things. But this, in general, the idea is the same.
all right. Okay, okay. So let's continue with this one on next Monday.
Yes, you want.
All right, okay. So what can I say, Eduardo? Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for clicking. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and see you around. Take care.
Yeah, take care. You have a nice weekend.